I love this beautiful self-portrait by Jan van Eyck. It hangs in the National Gallery in London. It was painted quite a long time ago. This is all about middle age, people who make their kidney stones in middle age. You might say that doesn't sound that much of a topic, but it actually is. And I'm going to tell you why. Jill Harris authored this article. I joined her. We often have collaborated this way. And these articles turn out very well. People whose stones begin in middle age not too rarely have primary hyperparathyroidism. Now, this disease can occur at any age, but if you have a new onset of stones, let's say in your 50s or your 60s, it's increased frequency. I put some references here about a big study showed that the average age in the 60s for diagnosis. Here's another one. So an older person with new onset stones has to be very careful about their serum calcium. In other words, it should be measured fasting in the morning, and if the values are even slightly high, it needs to be redone and repeated until you know for sure if it's high or not. I've put links here for a clinical article and a very detailed article about hyperparathyroidism. They tell you all the important matters. But I'm going to tell you a critical one. If you have new stones after, let's say, 50-55, be really scrupulous about your serum calcium. And remember, I'm saying it again, fasting and in the morning, and even a slight bit high, look carefully. And then also read these two articles. Next to hyperparathyroidism, a critical issue is uric acid stones when you become a stone former in midlife or later. In this lovely picture from Mayo Clinic, age is plotted here in years. These are year periods. And this is a percent of all kidney stones. These gray boxes are calcium oxalate. And you see that as you go from childhood through adolescence into your 20s, calcium oxalate becomes more frequent, and then it dies down. Well, what's filling in the gap? Calcium phosphate stones, when you're younger, they gradually die away to replaced by these diamonds, which is uric acid stones, that go up very dramatically in men as you get older. Here, women, exactly the same plot, age, percent stones. You can see they have much more phosphate all the time. Look at the difference between the women and the men. But with age, the phosphate dies out in the women to be replaced by the little diamonds. That's the uric acid. So uric acid stones matter as you get older because they become prevalent. How do you know if your stones are uric acid? First of all, they could be analyzed. And everybody should have all their stones always analyzed, period. In case that doesn't get done, uric acid stones are red and orange. No other kidney stones are red or orange. Third, your doctor can put her or his cursor over the stone on your CT scan and measure its radiographic density in so-called Hounsfield units. Uric acid stones have very low values, maybe 200, 300, 400. Calcium oxalate stones or calcium phosphate stones, usually well over 1,000. Finally, sometimes uric acid stone formers actually pass an orangey red gravel, a dead giveaway. So this is why you worry about uric acid stones in midlife or later, and I've just told you how you can know it's happening to you. Uric acid stones occur entirely when the urine becomes too acid. In other words, when its pH falls. And treatment, prevention, cure simply depend on raising the pH. Now, I'm going to pass through all of these beautiful graphs which tell us about why the urine pH falls with age. At the end of this video, for those who want it, I will come back and review all that. For all of you, however, it's important to know that diabetes and insulin resistance, which means prediabetes, and the metabolic syndrome, all of those states give rise to a falling urine pH. So especially if you're diabetic, you may very well have the low pH from that. Whatever the cause, if you have uric acid stones, it's because the pH is too low. At all times, the treatment will be to raise the pH. And that's what you need to know about urine pH and uric acid stones, their prevention and their dissolution if necessary. Hyperparathyroidism and uric acid stones are special. But another possibility, if you have stones beginning later in life, is just that you have genetic hypercalciuria and didn't know it. You may have been making the stones for 20 years and you never knew they were in the kidneys till one of them passed. It may just be by pure accident that your stones didn't begin to form till later. The important thing about this for midlife is, if you have had genetic hypercalciuria long term, you may have been on a low calcium diet that kind of offset the stones, and there is a big relationship between hypercalciuria and bone disease. So if you develop stones in midlife, get your bones checked with a bone mineral density, and always get 24-hour urines and serum measurements. That's true for all stone formers. You may find you just have had silent hypercalciuria, but you now have bone disease, and your doctor has to fix that. Another thing to notice is, this is a little less common, urine calcium goes up with diabetes and insulin resistance. I'm not convinced that that causes new stones, but it's worthwhile mentioning it. And if you have new stones and they're calcium, always be sure to get your 24-hour urine and your bloods for stone risk. If you're hypercalciuric, take a look at your blood glucose and your hemoglobin A1C if you haven't ever done that before. Certain drugs, of which I would put Topamax at the very top, or calcium supplements to prevent bone disease, are very, very common in midlife for people to just use, and they bring on stones. This is really important. Be sure and let your doctor know about it. Maybe you can just change your diet and stop your Tums for esophageal reflux, and you won't get any more stones. So let's sum up what all this means for you. New stones in midlife means the stones have to be analyzed. That's always true. But midlife, it would seem extraordinarily so, because lurking uric acid stones. Second of all, your fasting blood calcium becomes a real issue. Get it measured fasting in the morning. Be sure it's normal, and normal is not just at the upper end, but normal. I have a whole lot written about hyperparathyroidism, and there's lots to say. But what really matters is your serum calcium. Think about your bones. Think about your drugs. Think about how your life has changed. Think about blood glucose. Be sure it's normal. Much of the time, you just may be late to the party. If so, your treatment as it is for everybody. But if not, discovery of hyperpara or of uric acid stones, or of something you've begun to do because you're getting a bit older and that you could undo, could be a way to get a cure and be done with the stones. Now, at this point, most of you will probably want to leave this video. Some of you, however, may be hardy souls and want to learn why urine pH falls with age. For you, if you just wait for a second or two, we're going to do a separate part, sort of end of the video discussion, about a fairly complex topic. And I won't feel bad if most of you have left already. For those who are leaving, bye-bye and thanks for coming. For those who want to stick around, just wait a sec and I'll be back. Well, here we are, and I promised you some deeper stuff. Why does urine pH fall with age? Well, first of all, does it? And the answer is yes. This is a giant data set from Litholink. It's about 12,000 men and women with a wide range of ages shown here. This is the urine pH. These are the mean values. This is for men, and that's for women. And you can see they both go down. The men are lower than the women at all times. So the question is, why do they go down? There's a lot of alternatives. One possibility is you're getting fat, and a rising BMI will cause pH to go down. And so we tested that. First of all, in this population, does BMI go up with age? Sure enough. Goes up in the men, goes up in the women. What about if we statistically adjust the urine pH for the BMI? Do we get rid of the fall with age? Do we get rid of the sex difference? Nope. pH still falls with age, and the women are a lot higher than the men. So it's not the BMI. What about just losing kidney function? I mean, when you get old, your kidneys involute and everything goes bad. This is kidney function as estimated by creatinine clearance. This is age. Sure enough, as you get older, kidney function goes down. And we already knew that. What about if you correct for it? Well, here's the urine pH fully adjusted statistically for BMI and creatinine clearance. Still goes down. And the men are still a lot lower than the women. So the answer is no. Now, this is a very sophisticated graph, but you can stay with me. I have published and we have shown that every time we eat, we absorb a certain amount of alkali from our food. The alkali is in the form of nutrients that we combust as acids. And so as we use food anions, we use them as the acid, take up protons off the body buffers, and make bicarbonates. We get alkali when we eat. Women do it better than men. So how about this so-called GI anion, this absorption of alkali from food? Does it go down with age so that you're losing an important source of alkali? And that's why pH goes down. The answer, no. It's backward. The alkali absorption is going up with age in men and in women. So that's not true. It's as though something is happening and alkali is going up. Well, what about if you removed the effect of the rising alkali with age mathematically? If you adjust the urine pH for age and remove the effect of the alkali, it's falling like a rock in both sexes. So what is going on with age? Well, urine pH is going down. It's not because you're getting fat. It's not because your kidneys are going bad. It's not because alkali is not being absorbed from your GI tract. I didn't even show it here. It's not because of little subtleties like the kidneys don't make ammonia right anymore. We don't know why. And it's great when you don't know why, because that means there's new research to do. Well, for the stalwart few who've stuck around this long, I hope you've enjoyed the ride. Thank you very much for being with me.